Let's bow. Gracious Father, we lift up to you our city today. We thank you for your wisdom, your discernment. We thank you for our leaders, and we thank you for the decisions that are yet about to be made. We thank you for the benefit of knowing you. We thank you for the favor of the city of Florence, and we thank you for the increase in faith that we have through your spirit that lives in all of us. Lord, we ask today that spiritually you guide us in everything that we do and say for our citizens, for those that may be sick, for those that may need comfort, for those that need your power, that need your spirit. And God, we pray, Lord God, for all of those blessings. We thank you in advance because we know that it is already done. We believe it and we trust it now. Thank you for your many blessings that you bestowed upon us, all of those that we're connected to, that you would have your way in our lives. Thank God and amen.
Now our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Mel. Council, we have before us the approval of minutes. What say you? So moved.
That's to both.
So there's a motion. Can I get a second?
There's two sets of minutes.
And there's two that we need to okay, I see. There are two, March 7th, 2025 and April 14th that we need to do. So for March 7th, can we do both of them together? Yes, we are approving both minutes together, Council. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposes? The ayes have it. Council, if you don't mind, if there's no objection, we have an introduction of ordinance that we want to add and an introduction of a resolution. The ordinance to remove the language of returns to the agenda, and the resolution to proclaim May 2025 Lupus Awareness Month.
So moved.
If there's, thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, the ayes have it. I would also like to move up the some resolutions, the Veterans Park, and it was, let's see, the Veterans Park, we're going to move that up. And the lupus. We'll move that up. All right? But right now we will do honors and recognitions. First on the agenda we have Stephen Martin, 10 years, Police Department.
Recognizing Sergeant Stephen Martin for 10 years of service with the Florence Police Department. Sergeant Stephen Martin began his career with the Florence Police Department on May the 5th of, 2015. Like all new police officers, after he graduated from the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy, he was assigned to the Uniform Patrol Unit. Stephen spent the next 3 years honing his community policing skills and gaining the necessary experience on the street as a patrol officer. Stephen was a dedicated young officer who absorbed new information very quickly, and in June of 2018, he tested for and was promoted to the rank of senior officer. Over the next 3 years, Stephen continued to be a conscientious, community-minded cop. In April of 2021, Stephen again tested and was promoted to the rank of lance corporal and became a field training officer for new police officers. Stephen provided himself to be a very, very effective field training officer for these new recruits fresh out of the academy, and he excelled with the extra responsibility of the rank. In August of 2022, Stephen was promoted to the rank of corporal and worked as a junior supervisor for a squad. In February of 2023, Stephen transferred to the traffic division became a very prolific enforcer of the state's traffic laws. Even as a new traffic officer, Stephen often led the traffic unit in the categories of traffic enforcement and vehicle collisions investigator. Also during this time, Stephen became an accident reconstructionist and a member of the department's highly technical fatal accident investigation team. In this capacity, he assisted other highly trained officers during the investigation of motor vehicle collisions resulting in great bodily harm or even death. In 2023, Stephen received the Police Department's Traffic Officer of the Year Award, and in November of 2024, Stephen was promoted to sergeant. Stephen's promotion caused him to be transferred to the training division, where he now holds the position of training supervisor. Stephen's main responsibilities are coordinating and maintaining mandates for the entire police department. Stephen Martin is a dependable and valued member of the Florence Police Department who's very community-minded, and today we recognize him for 10 years of valuable service.
Many more years to come.
Next, we will have Martin Dickerson, 10 years, Police Department.
Martin and Stephen actually came here at the same time. And that's Corporal Martin Dickerson, and we're recognizing him as well for 10 years of service with the Florence Police Department. Again, after graduating from the Criminal Justice Police Academy, he was assigned to the Uniform Patrol Division, where he also honed his community policing skills. After 2 years of learning and mastering the basic responsibilities of being a police officer, Martin tested for and was promoted to the rank of senior police officer in July of 2018. In April of 2021, Martin was promoted to the rank of Lance Corporal and currently serves as a squad level field training officer for new officers who have just finished the police academy. Martin ensures that during the 12 weeks of field training, his trainees understand the logical and practical responses to every topic within the police department's field training manual. When Martin is not training a young officer, he has been exceptional in the area of traffic enforcement. I can't speak of that. And is regularly among the top officers for productivity. Martin is also a member of the department's fatal accident investigation, made up of highly trained officers again, and he is always readily available to come out and assist with those officers. Corporal Martin Dickerson is a dedicated and valued member of the police department, and again, we congratulate you for 10 years of valuable service to this country.
Okay, council, next on the agenda, we are super excited for our spring 2025 City University graduation. Amanda?
We are excited. It was another great class of City University. This is our third year and our fifth class of City University. We hold a spring and a fall session. This has been another great class of participants that stayed engaged for the 7 weeks. They were able to learn about city operations, what we do in the various departments, and meet staff so that they are able to put faces with names and know who to call. And it's a two-way street because it's a learning experience Sonyetta Cooper. Joyce Davis. Carolyn Echeverria. Dale Howell. Jacqueline Johnson. Gloria Jones. Amy Jordan. Sharara Julius. Quentin McElveen. Alan Platt. Lisa Radcliffe. Peter Radcliffe. Daniel Sheffing. And Kathy Strawn.
So the lens is not that wide, so we're gonna have to find a way to, stagger, probably you come over this way, and we're gonna do the shoulder action, so.
And let's give them a round of applause.
Y'all show off y'all paperwork. Since we are up giving recognitions, and let's go on with the resolutions. Let me get my bearings. So we just did that. We will move up the resolutions if you all don't mind. So, the resolution for the Veterans Park. Resolution number 2025-15.
So moved. Second.
Okay, and this is an ordinance to, no wait, no.
First page. Second page.
No, I'm trying to find it, y'all. Please forgive me. Here it is. This is a resolution to name the amphitheater located in the Florence Veterans Park after Colonel Barry Wingard. Amanda.
Whereas Colonel Behringer Fox Wingard Jr., a decorated veteran, esteemed public servant, and dedicated member of the Florence, South Carolina community, passed away on November 17th, 2024. And whereas Colonel Wingard served his country with honor and distinction for nearly 36 years in the United States Army and the South Carolina National Guard, including more than 20 years on active duty, holding assignments such as Assistant Professor of Military Science at Georgia Institute of Technology, faculty at the U.S. Army War College, and as Chief Operations Division,
Police Reform Directorate in Afghanistan, and whereas Colonel Wingard's distinguished military record includes multiple awards of the Legion of Merit, the Meritorious Service Medal, the Bronze Star, and the prestigious Silver Medal, Order of the Meritocracy, recognizing his lifelong contributions to the U.S. Army Military Police Corps. And whereas in his adopted hometown of Florence, Colonel Wingard exemplified civic leadership, volunteering with numerous organizations, including serving on the boards of the Friends of the Library and the Florence Rotary Club, and as chair of the advisory board for McLeod Mann. And whereas Colonel Wingard was instrumental in the establishment and development of the Florence Veterans Park, serving as its chairman, leading efforts to honor veterans of the PD region through meaningful and lasting memorials. And whereas in recognition of his unwavering commitment to veterans and the local community, Colonel Wingard was honored as the 2016 Veteran of the Year for the PD area. And whereas Colonel Wingard's leadership, patriotism, and tireless advocacy for veterans have left a profound and lasting impact on the city of Florence and the broader community. Now therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Florence, South Carolina, that the amphitheater at Florence Veterans Park shall be named the Colonel Behringer Fox Wingard Jr. Amphitheater. Resolved this 12th day of May, 2025.
Sponsored by. Sponsored by.
Sponsored. I apologize. This resolution was sponsored by Mayor Pro Tem George Jabali.
I think this is such a big thing that I think all of council would want to be in that, so you all know what you do. But, family members, please come up. We are so honored to have you here today. Thank you all so So on behalf of the city, we thank you so much for sharing Colonel Wingard with us.
Thank you so much. The Veterans Park was truly a labor of love for him, and I know he is smiling down. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Carrington, if I may for a moment, first off, I'm just so excited that we can read this and recognize Barry for his passion and love for our community for so long. If you would please come to the podium and introduce the family members, please. Thank you.
Here today with us is Barry's daughter, my bonus daughter, Krista Dixon. Krista lives in West Columbia and is a teacher at Newberry, and she came today to be with us. My daughter, Maggie Baker Daniel, and her husband, Ben Daniel, and they live in Florence.
Thank you.
But thank you so, so much. We are just so honored and appreciative of this.
Okay. Councilman JaVale.
You know, as I mentioned earlier when I walked in, we have so many people reach out to us for water and for potholes and for this and a problem for that. But I think I'm speaking on behalf of all of council that it is a privilege and an honor for us to have this opportunity to do this today on behalf of a true patriot and a true someone who loved Florence to his core. And so to the whole family, on behalf of all of council, thank you so much.
Well, we are so appreciative because, as I said, he just loved that Veterans Park. And we have some fun stories. He particularly liked the calls about people roller skating in the Veterans Park and how inappropriate that was. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Council, next on the agenda, we have resolution number 2025-17. It is a resolution to proclaim May 2025 as Lupus Awareness Month in the city of Florence.
Resolution 2025-17 is sponsored by Councilman McCall and Councilman Smith. A resolution of the City of Florence recognizing May 2025 as Lupus Awareness Month. Whereas lupus is a chronic autoimmune disease in which the immune system attacks healthy tissue, causing inflammation and damage to various parts of the body, including the skin, joints, kidneys, heart, lungs, brain, and blood cells. And whereas lupus affects an estimated 1.5 million Americans and millions more worldwide, and disproportionately impacts women, particularly women of color, including African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, and Native American communities. And whereas lupus is a significant public health issue with no known cure and can be difficult to diagnose due to its wide-ranging and sometimes vague symptoms, leading to delayed treatment and increased risk of complications. And whereas early diagnosis, proper medical care, increased public awareness, and ongoing research are critical to improving the quality of life for those living with lupus. And whereas the City of Florence recognizes the importance of raising awareness about lupus, showing support for individuals and families impacted by the disease, and promoting education to improve outcomes and foster a supportive community. And whereas recognizing May 2025 as Lupus Awareness Month will help bring needed attention to this disease and support those who are affected in Florence and across South Carolina. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of the City of Florence, South Carolina, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 as Lupus Awareness Month in the City of Florence and encourage all residents, schools, businesses, and community organizations to help raise awareness, support those living with lupus, and advocate for continued research and funding. Resolved this 12th day of May, 2025.
Thank you so much. Sponsored by.
Yes,
You said it?
I did, yes.
Great, great. All right. Let's carry the motion. There was a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposes? The ayes have it. Ms. Rosalind Davis, are you here? Oh, come on up. All right. Sponsors.
Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm just honored to be here with my granddaughter today. I thank y'all for honoring people like me with such a horrible disease. Over the weekend, I honored someone else, but I have such a big heart, and I hate it's no cure, and like my body just attack itself. But I just thank Florence, South Carolina for just believing in me. But I thank y'all. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Councilman Smith.
Before you take your seat, I just want to thank you for being an advocate for lupus. I know this is near and dear to your heart, but through your advocacy, you have educated our community on treatments as well as the symptoms so they can know to get checked for this autoimmune disease. So thank you, and also thank you for hosting an event which is on National Lupus Day on May the 10th. Thank you for being just a true advocate for this disease. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, next we have public hearings. First, we have a public hearing. It will be held to receive input on the City of Florence fiscal year budget 2025 through 2026. we need a motion in a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposes?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and members of council. I'm pleased to present to you a balanced budget of $145,011,050. This budget reflects our continued commitment to financial responsibility, transparency, and the strategic priorities set by council. Our approach has been thorough and collaborative, beginning with discussions with City Council and Department Directors to assess the capital and operational needs, followed by careful internal review to ensure a balanced proposal that aligns with the goals set by Council and fiscal realities. We have taken into account both ongoing projects and future plans, while also addressing challenges such as changes in revenue and the impact of recent federal and state legislative measures. As always, our goal is to provide high-quality services and invest in the well-being of Florence's residents, supporting a vibrant, forward-looking city. A few notable budget items include a $7.5 million increase, 30 flock cameras, a police K-9, police mobile data terminals, and a downtown police officer, as well as upgrades to our sports complex. We also set aside funding for water leak crew and funding to address water quality issues. And I'll have our interim finance director, Glenn Bodenheimer, to continue to go over the budget.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. As you said, this is a public hearing on the fiscal year 25-26 budget. Going into that, first I want to provide an update on the city's proposed operating millage for the upcoming fiscal year. Under South Carolina law, and it's confirmed by the South Carolina Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office, the maximum allowable millage increase this year is 2.95%. At this time, it's based solely on the Consumer Price Index. The updated population data has not been released yet, so that may increase going forward. In addition, the city is allowed to apply unused millage increases from the past 3 years. This gives us flexibility for a total allowable increase of up to 11.7 mils. During the recent budget work session, we had initially proposed a 5 mil increase. After some discussion, there was a proposal to increase that by an additional 2.5 mils. This adjustment will add approximately $529,000 in property tax revenues, and that additional revenue is intended to purchase for additional flock system safety cameras for the police department. I think that'll give us another 30 flock cameras throughout the city. In total, the city's proposing a 7.5 mil increase, which would bring the operating millage to 71.6 mils. The debt service millage remains unchanged at 4.0 mils, resulting in a total proposed tax levy of 75.6 mils. With that, I'll give you the proposed fiscal year 25-26 budget by fund. The general fund, which is the operating fund for the city that handles police, fire, all the city operations, that's $53,148,430. The general fund debt service fund is $694,000. The hospitality fund, $6,730,500. Water and sewer utilities enterprise fund, $49,359,700. The stormwater utility enterprise fund, $1,799,600. Water and sewer utilities construction fund, $30,725,000. The stormwater utility construction fund, $574,200. The water and sewer utilities equipment replacement fund, $1,860,000, and the stormwater equipment replacement fund is $119,620. The total budget for all funds is $145,011,050. And that's all we've got for that.
Thank you so much. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Just for clarification purposes, the numbers you presented to us included the 7.5 mil.
Yes, sir. That was the adjusted numbers.
Anyone else? right, thank you so much. Next on the agenda, council, we have the public hearing will be held to receive input on the allocation of the Community Development Block Grant Fund awarded from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposes? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. Yes, this funding is expected to be allocated, the announcement made for the exact amount on May the 14th, which is in 2 days. However, there is some pending budget proposals at the national level that may eliminate or reduce this funding. But we are moving forward as normal at this point, and do anticipate hearing the exact amount in a couple of days. The funding is for our CDBG target area to fund initiatives within the neighborhood and really citywide. But to be eligible under the current program, it must demonstrate 3 national objectives. One is to benefit low and moderate income persons. 2, to aid in the prevention or elimination of slums or blight. And 3, to meet a need having a particular urgency, referred to as an urgent need. And last year's budget was approximately $325,000. 65,000 of that was for planning and admin. Approximately 200 was for emergency rehab. There was 40 for down payment assistance for new homeowners, and 20,000 was for my brother's keeper. This concludes staff's report.
Thank you. Any questions, council? At this time, on both of these issues, this is a public hearing, so if there's anyone that would like to speak on these, you are welcome at this moment. Pastor Chris Hanley.
Yes. I am with Helping Florence Flourish, and here's some information if you guys want to pass it on. That'd be great. It's my understanding that you are entertaining $10,000 for Helping Florence Flourish in the budget this year to help with house repair, and so I've prepared a little handout that helps you see our current work in the area. The funding that we have for this particular year, which I know our fiscal year is different than your fiscal year. So this is just speaking to 2025, but it shows you what we have done in the city of Florence and what we have done outside of the city of Florence. But it also shows a great need. We have 49 repair jobs that have been applied for, all of which are in the thousands of dollars. And so any help you guys can bring us to help us address some of the repair needs in the community, we would greatly appreciate. And so thank you for your consideration.
Thank you so much. Ms. Linda Johnson?
Hello, everyone. I'm going to make this very quick. I did get a chance to talk with the chairperson of your finance committee. I'm here from Meals on Wheels. The last time I was here, we had over 150 seniors waiting for a hot meal to come to their home, and now we're at 220. So it lets you know that this problem is an ongoing problem, and we need the help of this community to help us. These are senior citizens 60 and older that are homebound. That means they cannot leave their home, and they cannot prepare a meal. A lot of times when you're at home, you can kind of help mom for breakfast, and you can help grandmama for dinner. But lunchtime, I can't get off my job and prepare a meal for my grandmother. So we're asking if y'all would keep us in the budget, increase that if possible, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. So it seems as though our public hearing will come to a close, and we thank you, and we will move to ordinance and positions. Okay? Council, we have bill number 2025-08. It is the second reading. An ordinance to adopt the updated downtown design standard for the city of Florence. What say you?
Second.
Second. It has been moved and properly second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposes?
Nay.
There is one nay. All right. Next on the agenda, Bill number 2025-14. It is the second reading. An ordinance to amend the Unified Development Ordinance regarding setbacks for communication towers. What say you?
So moved.
Second.
Although,
Question.
there's a question?
Question to our city attorney and to our city manager, Jerry. There was information that regarding the communications towers and who it was limited to in this. Has that been included in here? Can you give us a little insight on that, please?
It has been included in the packet, and I can, if you'd like for me, I
Yes,
can
please.
read the amended language as suggested at the last meeting.
Yes, please.
It's the point related. We would keep the language where it says tower or antenna structures are separated from a boundary line of a residential district or property line of a residential use by a distance equal to 1 foot for each foot in height measured from the property line. But then we're also including or adding to the ordinance tower or antenna structures owned and operated by public utility provider are separated from a boundary line of a residential district or property line of a residential use by a distance equal to or greater than the tower's fall zone as determined and certified by an engineer licensed in the state of South Carolina in a letter that includes the engineer's signature and seal. The fall zone is measured from the boundary line of the residential district or property line of the residential use. So this would only include the fall zone requirement or option for the public utility provider.
Just so I'm clear on this, and I think I understand it, this amendment applies to public utility providers.
That's correct.
Otherwise, it remains as it was.
That's correct.
All right. Thank you very much.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Let the record reflect that the ayes have it. Next, we will have Bill number 2025-15. It's the second reading. This is an ordinance to amend Somerset Acre Plan Development on Jefferson Drive. What say you?
So move.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? No, we haven't gotten there yet. All right, so the ayes have it. Let the record reflect that it has passed. Next, we will have Bill number 2025-16. It's the second reading. An ordinance to annex and zone NC 6.2, the property located at 1006 West Marion Street, identified as Florence County Tax Map number 90060-13-005. What say you?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposes? The ayes have it. Now we would add our, we will go to Bill number 2025-22. It is a first reading, an ordinance to remove the language of returns as identified in South Carolina Act 176 as adopted by the City of Florence in the ordinance number 2023-37. What say, this,
Second.
this item may be moved into for legal advice, but we do have, so I don't know how we do that. Do we go on and vote and we have the appearance now or after? How we do that?
Normally, we would go to executive session.
First, and then the appearance before council.
I'll make a point of information.
Okay.
I think, because that's going to be a while before we come back out of executive session. Can we just, is it possible for us to have us hear from them and then we can discuss all of it?
What we
in
hear.
executive session? Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay, is council okay with that? So what we will do, we will hear from the person that, and we will be able to take all of that into executive session. So we have Mr. Joey McMillan that to come before us.
Over here.
Yes, please.
Well, originally, thank you for having us here, and I'm sorry about no tie, but I didn't have anything that looked as good as Scotty's to wear, so we had to go from there.
It's hard to beat.
Yeah. I was coming up here to fuss, but I appreciate council so much taking this under advice. I saw a lot of small business people on the last day going up and giving their documentation and everything, and I think I believe that taking the word return out of this in Act 176 will help small business, and it shows that the council cares and cares about small business and listens to small business. So I cannot tell you how much I appreciate y'all taking this up. I'm the owner of Coldwell Banker McMillan Associates Residential Real Estate. Me and my fellow realtors are cheerleaders for the town. We just go out and sell Florence every day. We get people to come here. It's what we do. And this will be another selling point that we can tell council, listen, this is small business. So, Councilman McCall, I did not come to fuss today. So thank you very much.
All right, council, we will take that information into executive session. Next, we will have introduction of ordinance. And it is bill number 2025-17. It's the first reading. It's an ordinance to raise revenue and adopt the budget for the city of Florence, South Carolina, for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Okay, we can't vote on it until you talk.
Okay, so this is just a temporary budget presentation. It's a quick overview of the budget work session that we had last week. I'll keep it kind of high level, unless you want to be here another 4 hours today. So this is, as in the public hearing, this is proposed FY 25-26 budget by fund. The total of all funds is going to be $145,011,050. As discussed earlier, I'll get to that. So the initial budget requests were about 6.5 million greater than revenue estimates. Keep that in mind that whenever we went into this, we went on a very conservative approach. Everything going on right now, we're not 100% sure where revenue is going to come in, and we're not sure where expenditures are going to go. This budget shortfall was resolved through the proposed 7.5 million increase in operating millage. That added about 1.75 million. We have attrition savings adjustments and extended hiring timelines, operational funding request adjustments, capital funding request eliminations, and then there's an ordinance later about 30% funds used for early purchases. That's $1,111,600, and that does include the berm for the sports complex in that number now. With the 7.5 millage increase, I wanted to give you guys a property tax comparison for gross property tax millage rates across the state. This is 17 municipalities across the state that are of comparable size, demographics and everything here. As you can see, Florence is right there in gold, and we're number 4 as far as one of the lowest millage rates in the state of these selected municipalities. Next, I wanted to give you the effective millage rate. Florence has a local option sales tax credit factor. This tax credit factor gives a direct credit on all property tax millage. When you take that credit factor into effect, Florence has a 26.5 effective tax rate millage. Again, here we're easily the only one that's ahead of us here. Not all municipalities have this tax credit factor. The ones with asterisks are the ones that do have the credit factor. Myrtle Beach has its own local option tourism tax credit. I just kind of wanted to give you a comparison of where we are with the city. All of these millage rates, the city of Florence shows the proposed 7.5 mil increase. All of the other rates are where they were last year. They're in the same process we are of adopting budgets right now. So. Breakdown of the general fund revenue budget by source. As you can see, property taxes and licensing fees make up the bulk of our revenue sources. In that property tax numbers, Local option sales property tax credit accounts for about 43.2% of the total property taxes. These general fund revenues represent a 3.37% increase over prior year. And a breakdown of expenditures by type. As you can see in the proposed budget, personnel is the bulk of our operating expenditures here. We have $35,369,925 in personnel costs. Operations, $13,848,305. Capital outlay, $998,500. That number this year includes the purchase of a new sanitation truck and the $500,000 for the flock cameras. Community programs, $457,500, and debt service is $2,474,200. Community programs funding. We had a detailed discussion about that at the budget work session. Listed are the agency projects and events that are included in the fiscal year 25-26 proposed budget. $457,500 is to be paid out of the general fund. Outside of that, we have funds, we have certain agencies and projects and events that we are going to fund through our neighborhood redevelopment program. That totals $55,000. The hospitality fund, we have a $2.2 million athletics facility operations transfer here. This gets transferred into the general fund, and this kind of helps fund our sports tourism operations here in the city. Another notable here is the Florence Center. This year, we added an additional $300,000 for capital purchases that they've requested. We have a joint venture with the county where we pay a 50-50 with any kind of debt service and whatnot, so that's up $300,000 compared to prior years. Water and Sewer Utilities Enterprise Fund. This is just kind of the total budget for that fund is $49,359,700. The bulk of it are water fees and charges and sewer fees and charges. Water fees and charges 45%, sewers 51%. We have 4% of fees that are just of revenue that's just miscellaneous items, late fees, interest, stuff like that. So the bulk of our revenue funding here comes from actual user charges. Breakdown of the water and sewer expenses by department. As you can see, wastewater treatment, $7,845,200. That's 15.89% of our budget. Water production, that's the combined surface water and groundwater. That's $7,417,700. And then our debt service is $12,209,000. Those are the three larger items that we have as far as departments in the water and sewer expenses. Quick and brief. Any questions? Scotty, comments?
I think Councilman Braddock wants to say something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Would it be possible for Chief Adler to come up? I want to ask him about the effectiveness of the flock cameras and some of the previous things that we purchased over the years. So it was my ask to go up 2.5 additional mills in order to get these flock cameras, and also to get funding for a berm around the baseball fields to protect the children playing out there. And basically that came from a situation at the State House where in the past couple of years, our Senator Rickenbaugh, has gotten us funding for different items to help us with crime. As y'all know, crime has been one of the major focuses of the mayor and one of the major focuses of council. And because of the effectiveness of the cameras, I thought that 2.5 mils to get that would definitely benefit our officers and benefit our community. And unfortunately, the State House decided not to fund appropriations this year. And that's the impact of that. For us, in Florence County, the impact is that we weren't going to be able to get these flock cameras, that have gone from our last discussion from actually, catching criminals to now deterring crime. And that's where we want to get. It's one thing to catch a murderer, but to deter a murder is where we want to get. So if you could, Chief, just speak to the effectiveness of the flock cameras that we've received to this point, and what you expect that these additional would do.
Absolutely. Councilman, Mayor, members of council. We first started into this venture with Flock back in March of last year. And before we got all of them up, it was July. And the last statistics that we took were from July until March of this current year. And just during that period of time, excuse me, we arrested 48 fugitives. We recovered 38 stolen vehicles, 35 stolen license tags. The flock cameras were responsible for solving more than 120 crimes, and we located 7 missing people. And that's just from the period of July of 2024 to March of 2025. That's the 30 initial cameras that we got up. That's when they were all put up, and you know, I want to get to the point where we can say that you just can't come into Florence and commit a crime. And I really think that the addition of cameras that council has committed to for this next fiscal year is going to allow us to have that opportunity to be able to bring crime down even more than what we've done right now.
And Chief, am I right to say that those initial 30, was that funded through an appropriations by Senator Rickenbaugh?
It was, yes, sir.
Do you remember the amount of that?
It was 500,000, 400,000. Okay, yes, sir.
And there's been some other things in the past couple of years also that have come, especially towards police and emergency services.
Yes,
Has there
sir.
been anything in addition to that?
Oh, yes, sir. There have been motor vehicles. In addition to that, we received monies to purchase property and erect a building or renovate a building to comply with the state law as far as evidence preservation. We have facilities that we're outgrowing as far as large preservation of evidence items, and so that's what we're looking into with that. But we have that money on hand now, and we're currently in the process of looking for that.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
City Manager?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to add to that question, Councilman, we requested $16 million this year from state appropriations. Generally, we would receive those funds, but as you know, the state has made a decision to cut all appropriations. That money was for public safety as well as utilities there. So we had to, in some instances, cut that from our budget or fund that, and some of that funding will be through that millage increase that you talked about. We also have a wet down on, this was in another presentation I'm going to make, on May 21st. Wet down is when we have a new fire apparatus, a fire truck. We invite all the public to that. It'll be at, I think, 2 p.m. At Fire Station 6, which is on Smith Drive. That's a $1.2 million fire truck. That was directly funded through state appropriations there. The city obviously is growing by leaps and bounds, and we continue to need that type of equipment to keep our citizens safe primarily, but to also maintain that ISO rating of 1, which lowers insurance there. And again, we were fortunate to, just a year or two ago, to receive that $1.2 million there for fire apparatus there. Again, those items will no longer be, at least in this year's budget. So that's certainly something unfortunate for the city of Florence.
Thank you for that. And I think it's important for the members, you know, here today and people watching to understand that the state controls how local municipalities are able to raise funds. I mean, they tell us how many meals we can go up. They set all the parameters, what we can charge property tax, you know, all those things. And so we are limited and restricted by the state, and when the state takes away appropriations, it's not for, you know, things that don't have a real impact on the community. These things that have been removed have a huge impact, and this year, unfortunately, because we can't get it from the state, we're having to put it on the backs of the citizens of Florence, of which I'm one, but I think is well worth it, especially since we've got a proven success with these cameras It's not just some investment that we're waiting to see what happens. We know the effectiveness, and we can only expect they would be more effective. So I just think that it's very important to explain so that people don't misunderstand, the reasoning and why we have to do the things that we do. So thank you very much for that.
The other thing I want to mention about the budget is certainly allow us to concentrate on our police department, as been discussed. We are able to ensure that our police officers are paid at least the relative going wage in this region, if not slightly above that. So that's great for us. We're also able to provide funding to keep police officers in our more challenged areas. So if officers are living in some of our challenged areas there, we're able to provide some funding for them. And we've set aside some fund to maintain officers. So we have a bonus in place for officers. If each year they stay here, we have some special dollars that we'll set aside for the chief that he can reward those officers for their longevity and years of service.
Thank you very much.
Question.
Okay, Councilman McCall?
I have a question. Well, first I have a comment. One, on how effective those flock cameras are. I think it's a story we made on it already, but my mom's car was stolen, and the first person she called was me, like I'm the police. I said, but the flock cameras was the reason why she was able to retrieve her car back. So that is a very beneficial program. But my question is actually, Glenn, I'm sorry. Question is, I know we're talking about the millage increase this year, and I know we have 3 years, and we lose what we do not use. If we do not use them, I'll make sure I articulate this question correctly. Are we using the maximum allowable amount to which, if this year passes, we're losing a mill or two?
No, sir. Our maximum allowable millage right now is 11.7 mills.
Okay.
The way this works is every year, the Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office gives you a consumer price index, which is essentially inflation, and then a population percentage, and the sum of those gives you a percentage that you're allowed to increase your property tax millage. And then they give you a 3-year look-back period. When next year rolls forward, that third year is going to roll off. So effectively, you eat up last to first kind of thing.
So okay, but moving to next year, if we move to next year, I think I'm not saying it correctly, but we move to next year, we're not losing anything.
No, if this 7.5 millage passes, it will take care of the oldest 2 years in there and wipe them out.
Okay.
And then we'll still have a percentage of that third year, the current year, and whatever they offer next year.
Gotcha. But if we would have did 5, we would have lost
Yes, we
the
will.
last 2. Yeah, okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Smith?
Glenn, just correct me if I'm wrong. Even with the raising millage, we're still on the lower end of municipalities. What I mean, as far as like the Rock Hill study, I think we're, 27, 28, according to municipalities that are
Yes, sir.
close to our population?
Yes, sir. We're lower on the actual gross millage rate, which is just our straight-up millage. Here, if it's passed, it will be the 71.6 operating mills plus the 4 mills of debt service. The City of Florence has the 1% local option tax credit factor. This gives you the direct credit on your property tax bill. If you look at it, you should see City of Florence credit on there. With that tax credit factored in, our effective millage, what citizens are actually paying for City of Florence property tax, is only like 26.5 mils.
So essentially, we stay in our current place of where we are, even by raising to 7.5.
Yes, sir. And like I said, this is based on last year's millage data for the other municipalities. They're going through the same process right now. If you look at inflation over the last 3 years, from the Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office, it was 4%, 8%, 6%, 2.95%. If you've gone to the grocery store lately, you see inflation in everything you buy, and this millage increase is kind of keep letting the city continue operating at the same level that we've been operating at without cutting service or anything.
Councilman.
That 27 or 28, Councilman, that's out of 28 cities. So
Correct.
we're, yes,
Yeah,
I
but
want
we
to make
stay
sure the
in our-
public understands, yes.
But see, City Manager, we stay in our current place is what I'm trying
Correct.
to say. Okay.
Now we will hear from Councilman Bailey.
First off, thank you so much to Councilman Braddock and others on council for the initiative to take this step forward so we can address these very, very critical security and safety measures. I appreciate that. And I don't know who wants to field this question about the berm at the ball field. Mr. City Manager, Scotty, I think so that the community understands kind of what has been reported to us as concerns, and its neighborhood, unfortunately, it's not inside the city, it's outside the city limits, but it's adjacent apparently to the ball fields, and there's some serious concerns that are being raised by the community. Would you share that with us, and what the berm is designed to do and how it will help provide safety and security?
Certainly. Now Sports Complex, which is located off of Cashwood Drive there, we have baseball being played there throughout the baseball season, particularly mid to late afternoons, evenings there. There have been a number of shootings around and adjacent properties that are immediately adjacent to our ball fields, naturally scaring children and parents alike there. These properties are outside the city limits. There, our police chief, Chief Heitler, has been working diligently with Sheriff Joy and his team to address that issue. We've received requests to put up a berm in that area there. A berm, just an earthen mound of dirt, about 10 feet high, and we'll have some trees and vegetation planted on that berm of dirt to provide some protection to our players, of sports players there in that area. That is in the budget. That was a request made by this council. We were able to fund that. The initial dollars about $150,000 to $200,000. Again, we did put that in this budget, and barring the weather, we will be starting in about 2 weeks in that process. Obviously, some of the rain delays now we'll have, but it's our anticipation to start that project in no less than 2 weeks.
Chief Heidler, follow-up question on that. As far as these flock cameras, is there any way that we can introduce a flock camera to an area that's not inside the city limits, perhaps in that area that is this crime area where these shootings are taking place? Are there ways that we can work with the county?
There are parts of that area that are in the city, so yeah, we would look at those arteries that are going into that and place them. We've already talked about that throughout the police department and how we're going to place those up. And actually, some of the next group of flocks, we will have the ability for them to be mobile also, so we'll be able to move some of them around, and they won't be stationary for the entire length of their life.
And I'm assuming that you're in conversation with Chief Joy about that? I mean,
Sheriff Joy, yes, sir.
About that?
Yes.
Yeah, and the county has.
County has, they have
flock
about 18
cameras.
of their own cameras up,
Yes.
but they are scattered out throughout the county of Florence, from Johnsonville to 52, so 95 and 52, but they have several in that area also because of the problems that they have there.
Well, thank you so much for city staff, for the leadership to take action very quickly and affirmatively to address these serious matters. Thank you.
Next, we have Councilwoman Neesmith.
I know that you and Sheriff Joy have been talking about this issue. Has there been any updates since y'all last conversation and since the last time this happened?
With the
Anything?
flock cameras?
Yeah, because I know they have some. Will they be getting some more, or will we have to utilize ours in that area?
Yeah, and I'm really not sure about that, but my understanding is that, yeah, they were counting on some earmarks from the state also that won't be coming through for them that I know of.
So I don't know about in their operating budget if they will have that in a capital, but yeah, his intent is to put more flock cameras up.
Because that where it's happening is in the county and not actually in the city, correct?
There are parts that are of that area that are in the city. The last several incidents that we've had calls about were from areas that we believe to be were in the county.
Councilman Smith?
This for the city manager. You said the start date will probably be projected 2 weeks. What is the projected finish date for the burn?
I'll have to ask my staff to
I'm sorry.
give me that.
Council. We're looking at a few weeks after the start, probably about 4 weeks or so. It shouldn't take long for them to complete it.
I do want the public to know that because this council is so serious about crime and the flock camera system, that we went on and readjusted our budget to include this year's flock cameras into our budget. And so the council and staff, we are diligently working to reduce crime. However, we do need the help of the citizens to do their part in ceasefire and working on better ways to resolve conflict. So thank you so much. If that's all, council, you had something else to say?
The only other thing, Mayor, is certainly you've heard from half of the staff, the other half out in the audience. I'd like to personally thank them all for their assistance, their hard work, their dedication, their professionalism, and presenting a balanced budget to this council. Certainly couldn't do it without their effort, so I appreciate them. Hats off to the staff. Thank you.
Yes. So, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposes? The ayes have it. Next, we have on the agenda Bill number 2025-18, first reading. This is an ordinance to amend the budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending in June 30th, 2025.
So moved. Second.
All right, all those in favor?
No, that's all.
So you got to talk, yes, okay.
Okay. As mentioned in the previous presentation, part of the balancing of the budget process, we pulled some of the capital asset items out to hopefully get them passed to an early purchase ordinance. This early purchase ordinance is the city of Florence maintains a fund balance policy where we have set aside 30% of fund balance that is unspendable each year from year to year. Fund balance, if we take all the assets in the general fund and pay off all the liabilities, that's what we have left over. And this 30% means 30% of our budget. So in essence, if something were to happen and all cash flow were to stop, natural disaster or something, the city could operate about 3 months without having to shut down services. That's kind of the basis of the 30% policy. This ordinance proposes that we use some of the excess of that 30% balance to go ahead and make some of the current capital purchases that were requested in next year's budget in the current year. We did that as a way of hoping to solve two things. First, we wanted to pull them out, and that made it easier for us to balance the fiscal year 25-26 budget. The second is if we can get it approved in this year's budget, we can have staff go ahead and start reaching out to vendors to get quotes and whatnot on whatever capital purchases they have. With economic uncertainty, nobody's sure where tariffs are going or anything like that. We felt that the earlier that we could lock in these prices and make these purchases, the better it would be as far as costs. Again, that proposed amount is $1,111,600.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions, council? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, nay. The ayes have it. Let the bill reflect that it has passed. Thank you, Glenn. Next, Bill number 2025-19, first reading, an ordinance to amend the Unified Development Ordinance regarding cemetery preservation. What say you?
So moved. Second it.
All right, we have Jerry.
Thank you. Let me get my slides pulled up here. Just give me 1 second. And this proposed amendment is in relation to any proposed graveyards, cemeteries, or graves that would be present on property that is to be developed. As our city grows and our city boundaries grow, there are a lot of subdivisions and developments that occur on what were old family plots or older farms or just areas that may contain cemeteries. Some of these cemeteries have fallen into disrepair. They may be abandoned in some cases. As you know, there's currently a moratorium on developments where graveyards are suspected, and this is some proposed amendments that would address this. So this would be an addition to our Unified Development Ordinance, and I'm just going to go quickly through it. It would apply to properties that contain graves, cemeteries, graveyards, or other like facilities for the final disposition of human remains. The boundary and documentation. So graves, cemeteries, graveyards, or other like facilities would have to be determined by the applicant's professional archaeologist or other methods as deemed appropriate by the planning director to determine the boundary and conformation of the cemetery. The archaeologist or other professional shall be responsible for determining the approximate boundaries of the cemetery and shall provide information on the history of the cemetery, and the final report shall include, but not limited to, maps of the location, orientation of the graves, maps depicting the location and orientation of the cemetery relative to other recognized landmarks in the area, description of field and archival methods and results used to determine the cemetery, coordinates of the boundary in relation to the South Carolina 83 state plane coordinates, and that's just a surveying so that they can actually precisely locate the cemetery boundaries. The requirements of the survey would include any existing cemeteries or like facilities shall be deeded as a separate lot and shall be accessed by a minimum 20-foot wide private or public easement. So it would be separated from the rest of the property and would have to have an access point. The lot size. Lots deeded separately containing the grave or like facility would include the boundary of the cemetery as determined by the professional and would include buffer yard requirements, as we'll get to in just a second. It must contain access, an improved surface that would be approved by our code. A buffer yard of 25 feet would have to be provided. However, no landscaping would have to be provided in this area. Any existing cemetery fences or walls should be repaired or maintained. And if a fencing is desired, if it's not there, it's not required to have a fencing if no fence is located there. But it could be up to 6 feet, and it would have to be 50% opaque. And fences up to 8 feet could be approved by our Board of Zoning Appeals. And the boundaries of the cemetery would have to be marked during any construction activities until any completion of public roads and also until any contiguous parcels receive a certificate of occupancy. Planning Commission did recommend in a vote of 6-1 with 1 abstaining to recommend this proposed amendment.
Thank you. We'll hear from Councilman Braddock.
So this land, will there be any way for it to be, to mitigate the taxes on it, to be exempt from property tax on it?
Not sure on that. Yeah, we'd have to look into that.
Because they're losing the use of that land.
That's correct.
So yeah, I'd like to know that. And then
I could check with the county on that.
And the cost, as I recall, is what, about $4,000 to $6,000? I guess it depends on the area. The cost of the survey would depend on the area.
It would, and I'm assuming the size of the cemetery as well.
I gotcha. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. If they're going to be precluded from using that land maybe there's already something, available now to have tax exempt status on cemetery land. I can't imagine who would be paying for the cemetery that's 100 years old anyway.
Yep, I'd be glad to look into that before the next
Prior
meeting.
to the next reading.
So I'm sorry. Councilman Smith asked to speak before. I'm sorry.
Oh, mine's a simple question. Jerry, I see that is not a part of the requirement for like upkeep of the cemetery. I know it's going to be deeded separately, but who does that fall upon as far as the upkeep of the cemetery?
I think it would fall up under any other lot within the city, under our codes enforcement division, but it would be the owner of the cemetery's requirement to upkeep.
So that was the second part. So it still follow under our code as far as upkeep of property?
Yes, it would.
Okay, Councilwoman Neesmith Jackson?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so, there are no other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Oppose? The ayes have it. Next on the agenda, we have, Bill number 2025-20, first reading, an ordinance to rezone 1203 Sopkin Avenue from CA to NC-6.1. What say you?
So moved.
All right, Jerry?
Thank you, Mayor. This property is located along Sopkin Avenue. Here's the closer location of it. It was the previous location of a church, and that's why it received the zoning of campus, because that's what most churches in our community are zoned. It has morphed into kind of an event or a community type center that's privately owned. However, the current property owner does wish to rezone it from campus to NC 6.1, which would only allow single-family detached homes. They are proposing to potentially subdivide it and convert the existing structure, and there's enough room to put another small home on this location. And the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on this, and they voted unanimously 8-0 to recommend this rezoning.
Any questions, council? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next, we will have Bill number 2025-21, first reading. It is an ordinance to annex and zone NC 6.3 of 1.467 acre of a lot located on Tuscana Drive, a portion of Florence County tax map number 00100-01-101. What say you? Yeah, no, I'm gonna call you up in a few minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Second. It has been moved and properly second. Council, we do have, two people that have come, Kent Wenzel and Gloria Lucier. Did I say it? I'm close. Great. That are here to, speak today. Now, let's hear from Jerry, and then right after Jerry, we will let you all speak.
Sure, I'll present the case very quickly. This property is, you see it outlined in red here. It is currently part of the commercial property, the same tax parcel that's located just to the south there. But the proposal is to carve out, the 1.47 acres of this site and to zone it from currently unzoned in the county to NC 6.3 in the city. Here's a closer view of that. Within the county, the current unzoned designation would allow for a wide range of uses, including residential, commercial, industrial, and agrarian uses. That's their broadest zoning designation, which is unzoned within the county. The proposed and requested zoning of NC 6.3 within the city would allow for a mixture of attached and detached residential development ranging from single-family detached to multifamily. And at this time, the applicant is proposing a townhome development there. However, when the zoning is applied, anything could develop there that would be allowed under the 6.3. I will also point out that a number of residents from the community did, show opposition at Planning Commission meeting, as well as, I believe, 3 emails and letters were received into the city managers and the city council's inboxes regarding this development and their opposition to it. Their reasoning ranged from potential impact on property values, increased traffic and safety concerns, and just the overall density of the proposed development in relation to their single-family development, which is to the north in the Villa Toscana neighborhood there. The Villa Toscana neighborhood to the north is zoned planned development. However, it is a development of single-family detached homes there. It is part of our future land use designation of neighborhood conservation as well. And there were 2 events at Planning Commission. They did defer it on March the 11th, but then on April the 8th, Planning Commission did make a decision and voted 4-2 to recommend the annexation and zoning of NC 6.3.
Jerry, this is an unzoned property. I'm coming. This is an unzoned property. So can they do it on this property now as it is?
Currently, townhome development is not allowed in the county in the unzoned designation, but multifamily is, as well as a number of commercial uses, as well as industrial uses. But townhomes specifically, we did find out, is not allowed within this designation.
Okay, Councilman Braddock.
So I've worked with some of the folks in the neighborhood and haven't had an opportunity to give Mr. Witzel an update, so I figured I'd do that before you spoke. It does appear that there is a path to mitigate some of the concerns by doing a private gated neighborhood for that community. It seems like it checks the boxes for the ability to do that. It would be something that the neighborhood would have to adopt into their bylaws and things of that sort. But that would be a possibility. And like you said, currently they could put a mobile home park there. Right now, from what I understand, that would be allowable. So there is a different outside of rezoning path to mitigate that. I just want to give that update.
Okay. Councilwoman Neesmith Jackson.
Do we know what they're doing with the other 3 acres that they're not annexing in?
It's currently, let me back up here if we could get it. It's currently already developed as a commercial property. It's a little strip mall center. It's got the home center, which is in it. So it's commercially developed already.
Okay. And this is the only thing that's unzoned at this point that they can build on?
It's the whole parcel is unzoned, but this is the only portion that's undeveloped.
Got it.
Okay. Council, if that's all, if you don't mind, we will call up our.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
2 quick ones.
Zach?
The first one being, is that the same owner on that as the parcel below it with the strip mall?
It is not, and I believe the applicant has an option to purchase this, parcel.
And then my second question would be, if it is a traffic issue, could we not look, because I do know Ebenezer right there, especially as school's getting out, it's very, very traffic, so I understand that. Could we not look into, if there is cut-through traffic, possibly, even if it's just something like a speed bump to slow down traffic, if that is an issue? I've discussed that with a few of the residents in there, in the neighborhood. And to me, that seems like a easy win-win for all parties involved. It's obviously not the answer. It's obviously not going to stop traffic by any means, but hopefully it would slow it down.
I mean, we could definitely look into that option. The density of the development would trigger a traffic study in that location, but I don't know. The 25 units that are proposed as part of a townhome development would probably not be enough to trigger a traffic study, but we could definitely speak with the developer regarding that option.
That would be great if we could do that.
Okay. Now, when we have Ken and Gloria, if you'd like to come forth now to speak to us.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm Ken Winslow. I live in Villa Toscano, and I don't know Mr. Jerry's entire name, but he said a lot of things that I was going to talk about. But our community is a beautiful community. It's tucked away off of Palmetto Street and Old Ebenezer Road. We have 77 homes in our community and approximately 160 residents in our community. Our community is also bound on the east side. If you can bring that map up again, that would help. To the right of that square sits the reserve at Ebenezer. They have approximately 88 homes in there, and around approximately 170 members that live there. But our community is totally surrounded by residents. And on the back side of our community sits the Rutledge Manor. The only place that we have commercial property is in our entrance road coming in off of Toscano Drive. It's approximately 800 feet into our community from Toscano Drive. There's a 66-foot road right-of-way there that we maintain. We've been maintaining this right-of-way for over 20 years. And when I say maintain it, what we're doing, we spend anywhere from approximately $14,000 a year to keep the shoulders looking nice. We have routine mowing service. We treat the soil for bugs, for fertilization. We trim the bushes and the trees. We've got an irrigation system in there that we recently spent a lot of money repairing this. But to bring in this, I don't even want to call it a townhouse project because he's going to rent them. And I think my definition of a townhouse is you own a townhouse. So these are going to be rental apartments, basically. They're not townhouses. But to have these 23 or 25 units in there, it's going to be an impact on the character of our community. By looking at that, you can see our community is a loop in. It's a half-mile loop around it. We got 3 side roads, and we got these 77 homes tucked in. It's a pretty private community. Yes, we've entertained, haven't brought it to the board yet. We've thought about making the community private, but then without discussion on it, my first thoughts are who's going to maintain the streets. We don't have enough money if we have to maintain the streets, but when we went to both of these meetings, I want to just explain that at the first meeting, the planning commission couldn't decide to make a motion or not to vote on this. They deferred it till the second meeting. So we go to the second meeting, and we were allowed 3 minutes to talk about what our side of it. The developer had his chance to say something about it as well. But one comment was made when they brought it to motion and for discussion, and that one comment was that we think the city can better, not better, the city needs to control what goes there. And we're fine with that, but we don't need these 23, 25 units there, whether they're in the county or the city, to be built, and we have all this walk-through traffic through our community over in the reserve. I think, and I haven't shared this with my board members, but I think the best thing that we can ask for is, bring it into the city. It needs to come into the city, but keep it as commercial property. With commercial property, we're going to have less traffic in our community. Now, we do get a lot of traffic. Mr. McKay, I think, has experienced the traffic on Old Ebenezer Road, but people actually come down Palmetto Street, make a right turn onto Toscano Drive before you get into the Food Line area. They go up to our entrance into our community, take a left, and then they come out on Old Ebenezer Road. This happens a lot every day, whether they're coming from Old Ebenezer into Palmetto or vice versa. We have a lot of traffic in our community. We have semi-trucks coming through there. I recently saw a bus going through there. It was a school bus. That's fine. But I would ask that if you considered bringing this into the city, bring it in as commercial property. Everybody has told me that we're better off with the city than with the county. I've kind of confirmed that in my own mind. So if you bring it into the city, please bring it into the city and bring it in as commercial property. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Braddock.
I was going to say, ask Jerry, I don't think, we don't drive that ship as to how we bring it in. If we tried to change the designation, then the owner would just pull back. They could just pull back their request.
They could withdraw their request.
Annexation is driven by the property owner. It's not.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's not controlled by the city.
Well, I don't know a lot of how y'all work.
I mean, I would just, I was going to say, I would reappropriate that $15,000 towards future road maintenance, because if you continue down this path, what you're probably going to end up with is something that you really don't want, which might be 20 mobile homes, or, or a horse farm, or whatever. And I think if you got what you asked for, you wouldn't want what you got.
Okay. Any questions?
Is there another speaker? Yes, come on up.
My name's Gloria Lucier, and I also live in Volatile Stein. And I think you all know a little bit of the history about this already. And what we're being told, or basically we're being told that our two choices are, by this developer, we will hurt you a lot now with what we're going to do. We're not going to allow the city to protect your neighborhood like the city wants to do. And a lot of you, I know that you ran on the idea that you're going to protect citizens, those of us who are powerless, that you want to help protect existing neighborhoods. The conservation designation is to conserve existing neighborhoods, not to let us get hurt by new developments. Now, this developer is coming in and he is saying, and basically what Mr. Braddock is repeating, that, I'm going to hurt you badly now, or I'm going to hurt you really a lot worse later. So you choose. It's almost like extortion. It's like you have no power. Okay, so when you use leverage like that, when he is using the leverage of having the county to use against the city, that's like extortion, okay? And he's saying that it's a false choice. It's either this bad choice or this bad choice. And he came to the city saying he's going to build townhomes. Well, I looked up the definition of townhomes, okay? Because I know as a former realtor that townhomes are not a row of rental units. And this is what he's going to do. 23, 25, however many rental units. And we all know, and Mr. Moses and Dr. Lawhon talked about this at the Planning Commission. They said, Mr. Lawhon said, I wouldn't want this, he used the word crap, out at the edge of my neighborhood. And Mr. Moses said to the developer, if you would sell these units, then it would be a lot better. People are building them around town, and you say you're building townhomes, well, usually those are sold. So I looked up the actual legal definition of a townhome. And so, AI will pull it up for you. In South Carolina, a townhouse is legally defined as an attached, privately owned, single-family dwelling unit that is a part of and adjacent to other similar owned units. These units are connected separated by common party walls without provisions for human passage or visibility. So they have two walls on each side. That defines them. Essentially, a townhouse is a row of attached homes, each with its own individual ownership and land. Okay, so when you're looking at what the city is defining in your unified code or whatever else, when somebody says they're building townhomes, when they're building a row of rental houses that could just be, and the reason we object to rental houses is because those are always so much more troublesome. People who live in rental houses don't have a vested interest in the community like we do, like you do. If you said together to this developer, if you go in and ruin this neighborhood, when you come to us in the future and ask us to do something where we don't have a gun to our head, then we're going to make a different decision, and it won't go your way. And I think that that would go a long way in having somebody decide against doing this. And we're talking about 1.5 acres. Who's going to build a horse farm there or mobile home park or whatever? They're not going to do that. That's just a threat. So I'm saying call them on the threat. Don't let them do it. Don't let them. You're here to protect us. We're the people who need protection in this situation. If you annex it into the city and you give him the zoning that he wants, you're helping him. You're giving him city services. It's like, shoot me now or, shoot me later. No, we say as a community, we take our chances. And if you help us with the county, then he won't get that approval to build those row of apartments. Now, he's going to build, not townhomes, but rows of apartments around. They'll back up to our road. They're, whatever on their back porches or back of their house will be right there on our entrance that we have taken so much care to maintain. And we were given a right-of-way by the city when we bought there. It's in our covenants. We built a beautiful brick fence along that corridor. We have a nice sign at the road. It'll look like their apartments are part of our community because it has our Villa Toscana sign right there at the entrance. Okay. I mean, he wants to take advantage of what we have. So I'm just saying, help us. Call him on it. Tell him no. And help us with the county, if you will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman Braddock?
Well, my first responsibility to any citizen is property owner rights. He bought this property or he's buying this property. He can do with this property what he's allowed to do with this property. Property owner rights are the #1 responsibility in terms of property that we have, that I feel that we have on this council. And it's extortion to say if you don't pull back or if you don't build this, then we're not going to approve your stuff in the future. That's extortion. You've got several options. Option 4, you could buy the property. Option 5, you can build a gate. You can gate your property. But there's no option where you, that own property adjacent to this man, that you get to tell him what to do with his property. You don't own the property. And the property owner is the one that I'm here to protect. So yes, and that is really what I'm truly doing. I'm really protecting you. You don't want to accept the protection, but we're truly protecting you. But you want to control what this gentleman does with his property. He can do whatever he wants to do there. He owns it. He bought it.
He doesn't own it.
And there's no zoning restriction, and he can do whatever he wants to do with that property. He has come to the city, and he has asked to build townhomes there, and we've given y'all an option to take your $15,000 that you're using to clean up or cut the grass, put it into an account to pave your roads and maintain your roads, put a gate up with a code, protect your asset from people going through there, driving through there, protect your roads. You can do that. You have that option. But controlling what someone else does with their property, you don't have that option.
Well, I don't think that what we're doing is extortion.
No, what you asked us to do.
No, it's not.
I don't
When
want,
somebody's-
wait a minute. I don't want there to be a back and forth. And so I think Councilman Jabali has something to say.
So, Jerry, question. A point was raised about townhomes, and I thank you for bringing that up. In the zoning designation as it's currently before us, would it allow for apartments where property could be rented, or would it require single family, even in a townhome form, ownership?
Currently, in the Unified Development Ordinance, townhomes are required to show that they can be subdivided. So typically what happens is they'll go to Planning Commission and get approval for a subdivision that shows a smaller parcel that includes just the townhome or the property it sits on, and individually parceled out, and then any parking areas and common areas would be common space and would have to be ruled by an HOA. But our code currently does not require that to occur. It has to show that it can occur, but but it does not have to actually occur. And as far as a rental units, we the planning department or the city can't control what gets rented and what does not, no more than I couldn't go, if I had, millions of dollars, buy your whole street up and rent every one of those properties in any neighborhood, whether it be single-family detached or single-family attached within the city. So we cannot control what's rented and what's not, but, we obviously can control what's parceled out and what's not.
So, just to be clear, if we were to approve this, there's no guarantee that it would be subdivided where each one would be individually sold, as opposed to a individual owning all of the properties and renting all of them out.
That's
There's
right.
no way that this designation would limit it one way or the other.
That's correct.
Okay. Looking at the map, and we pull that back up, the concern I have is that on two sides, it's right there adjacent to what's already in the city and is zoned as single-family housing, correct?
That's correct.
This council has, on many, many occasions, had zoning requests come to us from property owners who want to, and I remember one over on Oakland Avenue recently, where someone wanted to put multifamily housing in a single-family housing area, and it was right there in the middle of the Oakland Avenue, and this council said no, that it had a feel more like spot zoning. Certainly, whoever owns the land as it currently exists, because it's in the county, they can do whatever they want with it. It's not our issue. But as soon as it becomes an annexation request, then it becomes our issue. And so I think the question before us is, do we take the zoning request and apply that and say that is appropriate zoning request just as if it was already in the city? Let's assume it wasn't being, let's assume this property was already annexed into the city in one designation. And now the property owner is coming to us wanting to change the zoning designation. To me, this is more akin to that, and the question before us is, do we accept the zoning designation and say that that's appropriate in that it's right adjacent to single-family housing? In my opinion, based on what I'm seeing, it feels a lot like spot zoning. It feels a lot like this is a request that if it was on Oakland Avenue or some other area where the zoning is for single family, that we as a council have historically said no to it because it changes the dynamic of the neighborhood. If the owner chooses to put in a horse farm or chooses to do whatever and it's not inside the city, that's not our issue. That is not our problem. It becomes our problem because he's requesting annexation. That's where it becomes our problem. And we have the responsibility, the duty to say if someone is requesting annexation, and we've done it back over Dexter, where was that, Brian, that we had that big go-round over there?
Dexter Drive.
Yes, we've had many go-rounds over there about this very same question. And so I think the neighborhood clearly is not in favor of having this there in their backyard. And I think it's akin to that zoning change because it's coming in as a zoning request. And to me, it's identical to a spot zoning request, and I have uniformly, and I can't recall, maybe I have voted in favor of something at some point along the way, but to my recollection, I've not ever voted in favor of spot zoning that changes the nature of a single-family residential area where you have two sides of of a property that are going to be zoned in a manner inconsistent with the property designation of the adjacent neighborhood. So based on what I'm seeing, I'm opposed to it, and I think it's more like spot zoning. If the property individual who's petitioning for annexation, if they wish to go back to the city and back to planning and reconsider their zoning designation to one that's more compatible with the adjacent city-owned property, because this is city limits, and the properties over in that neighborhood are in the city. That is our responsibility, as opposed to somebody in the county who can do whatever they want in the county. Again, that's not our problem. It
Okay.
becomes our problem because of annexation.
Now, we will hear from Councilman Neesmith, then Councilman Smith, then Councilman McCall.
Basically, I was going to say, George, get out my head, because that's what I was going to bring up too. Okay. And the spot, that as well, because I represent the voters, and your voices do matter here. And we want to make everything uniform. This is why we have this ordinances. This is why we do this. And if I had to say anything, I would reject it as well.
Councilman Smith?
Jerry, I think I ask this all the time when we get into situations like this. Inside of NC 6.3, what is allowed and not allowed?
It's typical, or it allows a variety of housing types. You can do single family attached as well as single family detached, as well as multifamily. So, you have the entire range of housing products that would be allowed in there. Duplexes, triplexes, as well as single family detached, townhomes, and a multifamily development could potentially be allowed here.
All right. And then, so below, I know it's in the county, but below that, you said that is actually commercial. Am I saying that correct? In the county?
That's correct.
All right. And then,
It's unzoned, but it's commercially developed.
correct. And then to the left of that, that is the food line, which would probably be commercial as well.
That's correct.
All right. But again, unzoned because it's in the county as well, but used for commercial use.
That's correct.
Next, Councilman.
Yeah, I just want to kind of harp on something here. I think Florence is definitely at an inflection point as far as with growth, and there's a lot of homes permitted to be built. I feel like we've been through this, I hate it, kind of fight before, to where it seemed like every time there's a planned development where it is a sense of multifamily units, or some sense of it's not been a single family home, there's always the argument of not our backyard. And we did that extensively in 2022, extensively in 2023, where we have led back millions and millions and millions of dollars of development here in Florence. And I think it's kind of getting to a point where it's a bit much. It has been a while since this type of development has come up again, but we have pretty much let ourselves down as far as with development. Again, it's the same argument, not our backyard. And so I guess what backyard can any of these developments occur? And I remember prime example, same thing, we would say we'll defer it, hopefully not the developer changed it. And we let down some countless good projects. One particular here on Irby Street, if you ride back there now, it's beautiful type of development back there, which we initially held up for months. So again, I want to do what's right for the neighborhood, but I think we have to also consider property rights of everybody and making sure that we're not just holding back developments from that same argument, not my backyard, because every community says the same thing. So, thank you.
Okay, we're finished with that, council? All
Can
right?
I answer what he just said?
Yes, ma'am.
We're not really objecting to, it's not so much a not in our backyard. It is the extreme density of this, okay? That lot is 1.4 acres. Think about that. 26 homes on 1.4 acres. If he wanted to build a row of, 8 units on that 1.4 acres, that would be one thing. I mean, a lot of people in this town, average homes, a lot of them have a half acre for their yard or more, or 3/4 of an acre in the city of Florence. We're talking about him putting 26 homes on 1.4 acres. It is the density, and it is the fact that they are rental units. I know we talk about crime, but I know when you've got rental units, it's a totally different thing from when you have people who own their homes. And even in our neighborhood, we changed our covenants to disallow any future rentals when people sell their homes, because we have a number of the homes in our neighborhood which are rental units. There are about 6 or 7 of them. In our whole neighborhood of 77 homes, 90% of our problems come from those 6 rental homes. It's very different. And then when you get to these apartments that are rentals, where people are very transient, and you get all kinds of different people in there who are not connected, it's just a whole different group. And we don't, I'd be afraid to go walking around my neighborhood. Our neighbors walk at night. We have a nice little community. It would totally change the character of our community from one where we have neighbors who know each other, we know who's in our neighborhood, to all these people right here. They're right at the edge of our community. There's nowhere else for them to go. It's not like they've got a walking place they can get to the park or any. There's not a sidewalk down Ebenezer Road. They can't even get to Ebenezer Park. We can't. So you got all these people. If they have children, if they have teenagers, they have nowhere to go. They're locked in right there. There's nothing around them.
Thank you. I've kind of let you go over a little
And
bit.
I appreciate
but we normally
you
just
said
do
it better
5
than I
minutes.
could, Mr. Jabali. I was trying to say what you said, and thank you all for listening to us. I know you're going to try to help us if you can.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I promise I can be very brief.
I think okay, you didn't sign up. Okay.
I didn't know I had to.
Yes, that's
Next time. A lot of these things we talked about at the planning.
The mic.
We talked about these at the planning commission. One thing that hasn't been brought up is the fact, like Mr. Wenzel mentioned, our community's been taking care of that entry, not just that one, but the one off Old Ebenezer as well. I was on the board of directors for 4 years, and that was relatively recently. I left it 4 years ago. I never felt like it was optional for our neighborhood to maintain those 2 entrances. It's right in the bylaws that we're obliged to maintain the right-of-way. And there was a print made. This is a 2006 drawing. The final drawing was 2008, which is more detailed. But it clearly shows the right-of-way on both entrances, and it also shows the fence that we maintain. I don't know what that would cost to rebuild now, but I'm guessing $70,000, $80,000. It's expensive work to build a brick wall. But it shows the brick wall going all the way on both sides of that entrance, and it shows 2 entrances into that shopping center. It doesn't show a 3rd entrance where these apartments would go. And I asked the planning department during that March 10th or 11th meeting, and the planner at that time said that she hadn't seen what the configuration was. So that's just something I wanted to point out. Like Mr. Braddock brought up property rights. We don't own that property, but we're required to maintain it. So it'd be a violation of our rights for somebody to just tear down the wall that we built and maintained all these years. A lot of other options exist as far as closing traffic out to Palmetto Street, having just one entrance on the other side. You could do that without making it a private community. We already have new houses going in behind Fire Station 6. We got a Fire Station 6 there, which wasn't there till a couple of years ago. I know you're going to want a traffic light there soon, because one of these days the trucks are going to try to get out of there, and they're not going to be able to. There's a new Publix going in just a half mile down the road. It's just going to get worse and worse. I think it'd be useful to
refer this back to the planning department to try to say, what can we do with this whole area as far as separating the commercial areas from the single-family residential areas? It wouldn't take much. I won't go into detail because I said I'd be brief.
Thank you so much. Jerry, question, what was the recommendation of planning?
They voted 4-2 to recommend the annexation and zoning.
So, council.
So the question was raised about accessing the property from that road. Jerry, are there easements to this parcel that would allow it to go through that wall that they're talking about?
Well,
or would the wall have to be opened up? What would happen in terms of accessing to that property?
I looked back at the closeout documents for the neighborhood, and it looks like it was developed in phases. And in 2005 and 2008, upon closeout and recording of the plats, all of the streets within the neighborhood, to include the street out to both Palmetto and to Old Ebenezer, were dedicated or conveyed over as public right-of-way to the city. So, so those are all public streets, not private streets. And, typically, the city controls, ingress, egress permits and such, encroachment permits.
So how, in the context of this petition before us, is ingress and egress onto that public right-of-way, is that a part of the annexation request that's built into it or not?
It would be part of the development request when the proposal for development comes in. And we typically, within, our Unified Development Ordinance and any DOT requirements that we look up and backs up our ordinance, we grant encroachments based upon that, based on distances from other driveways and such. So I would see no reason why this would be denied an encroachment permit.
So just to be clear, if this passes, then the brick wall that's existing there, a portion of it would somebody would have to pay for it to come down, and then a access off of this road into that property would have to be developed, and that would be a part of what the city granted automatically as a part of the development agreement.
Yes, we would, within the constraints of our Unified Development Ordinance.
Right.
Councilman McCall.
And just lastly, just for clarification, because she made a very interesting point, 26 units. Is that the proposed amount of units that the developer is stating?
I believe, I thought it was 25. It may have been 26, but we have not seen a full development proposal with stormwater and all the requirements met, and we haven't reviewed it to that level to see the maximum number that could have.
Because particularly once those requirements come in, it would probably condense the amount of units that.
It could, yes, potentially.
And there's nothing we can do that could limit the other with this particular zoning, but there's nothing we can do once we rezone it that can minimize the amount of units that can be there.
Not as it's written in the Unified Development Code, in our development standards.
Can I say something? I didn't know I had to sign in. I do less than 2 minutes.
Yes.
So, I live in Villa Toscana. I am not interested in this many units being put in, but I understand all the things that we've talked about. Our neighborhood is uniquely saddled with the responsibility of paying for these long entryways into our development. We're only 77 houses. It costs us a lot to maintain this huge, long common area. We'd rather not, right? It'd be great if we could just say, hey, we're going to maintain where our little part happens. It just so happens when this all went to city planning way back when, they gave, this was concessions the doctor who sold the property made to make it acceptable. Also, he got extra buffer zones granted to Rutledge Manor, the neighborhood behind us, to appease them because they didn't want a high density thing. I would like to propose that these same buffer zones that everyone in our neighborhood lives under. It's not just the regular, the planning commission can look it up, it's very detailed, but we have an extra 10 feet that most neighborhoods don't have, but it was something that was granted to appease Rutledge Manor. I'm asking the same thing. Give us an extra 10 feet of buffer on our property line, on the reserves property line, and that's gonna reduce the number of units he can build. I mean, he's at the maximum, it's 23.78 units he can build. I've done the math based on what the code is. So if we got that's 10 feet against our property, 10 feet against the reserve, it's gonna at least limit him to maybe he can only build 2 units of 8, 16. That would be a great win. I agree, property owners, they can do what they want, but we had to, we got these extra buffer zonings put in on us when our neighborhood was developed. Let's do it to him. Let's be uniform.
Question, I don't want to say we doing it to somebody, but what is that? How is that something that we can do? How does it look?
You know, if it's brought in as NC 6.3, then they would be subject to the development standards within the Unified Development Ordinance. There's no mechanism for council to put special requirements on a parcel of that nature. I will note that there is a 10-foot buffer requirement for the proposed townhome development to go in. So
the 10-foot is already there.
the 10-foot would be in place or required on this side.
Okay. Okay, Councilman Debate.
Is there and we haven't asked this question yet, we've just been talking about that one zoning designation that's on the annexation request. Is there a alternative zoning designation perhaps that would maybe accomplish some of it but would allow some protections? I'm not familiar with all of the designations. You're the expert in that area, Jerry, and I'm just throwing that question out that I do not know the answer to.
Unfortunately, this is the only zoning designation that allows townhomes. So for the proposed development to move forward as he wants it to, or the developer wants it to, he's stuck, yeah.
So it's either this or nothing?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Braddock. Councilman Braddock.
You know, here, my issue is here we're discussing all these things that someone else can do, but not addressing what the owners in this neighborhood can do. You can make it a private neighborhood. Secondly, you can you can do it. You can do it. Secondly, there's 24 tiny houses on an acre with homeless women and children because there's no affordable housing in Florence where they can walk to a grocery store, where they can get public transportation. And here again, just like Councilman McCall said, because the neighborhoods doesn't want to do what they can do proactive, make it a private neighborhood, fix all your problems. You want to impose to not have affordable homes built in our city for people that need them. And to me, that's wrong. If somebody wanted to build behind my house, I just build a bigger fence, or I do whatever. I would mitigate it on my end. You know, you have the opportunity to mitigate it, and instead of doing that, you want everyone else to change to accommodate you, and that's my problem.
We can't afford to build the maintain those houses.
Wait a minute. We can't have the outburst. I'm sorry.
If we vote on this today, and it does pass, we have to have another reading for it. Am I saying that correct? Has been another reading.
There will be a second reading.
There will be a second reading, which means, and I guess it's for the city manager, there could be further discussion on a resolve. Am I saying that correct? Or is this the only, thing that we can do as a council or as a city? Because it's first reading, there still can be further discussion if it is passed. Am I saying that right?
The question, I guess, is Can you have discussion at second reading?
Yes.
The answer
Yes.
is yes.
And there still can be an amendment and everything, or if there, I'm just saying, there can be further discussion if it is passed from first reading, right?
Well, I would recommend not discussion with us. There need to be a
Well, I mean,
discussion
and I
with
should have
the
said, I should have clarified.
developer.
The discussion with the developer and the community. Has there ever been a discussion with the developer and the community, as you know, Mr. Jerry or Scotty?
That, I believe, was the reason Planning Commission deferred it, but I'm not sure if that actually occurred or not.
Yes. If you all don't mind, I'm gonna let him come up and speak on that.
That discussion did happen. We were instructed, him and our community were instructed to get in touch with each other. I finally reached out to him, asked him if he would consider building single-family homes on the property, and he simply said no, he can only build 5 or 6, and that's not viable for him. So that was basically the end of the conversation. Another part of our conversation that we had was that he said that he would maintain the east side of Toscano Drive coming in off of Palmetto Street. This is approximately 800 feet. I don't know if he'd maintain it to our expectations or not. But we did have that conversation. It didn't go anywhere. And like I said, I reached out to him. And since I'm here, I do want to say one more thing. Mr. Braddock mentioned the property rights of the owners. Well, this developer hasn't bought the property yet. It's not him seeking this annexation. It's the property owner that owns it. He hasn't reached out to y'all asking for annexation. This guy hasn't bought the property yet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Smith raised the question. Council, we can go on and vote for this today. And we will have a first reading on it. But we also can meet with the developer if there are any concessions that we would like to see done, and just this by the second reading, it's done with, or we just go on and vote. So take that into consideration, Councilman Jabali.
Yes, that, Madam Mayor, that was my question to Jerry, was, is there some other zoning designation within that maybe is a compromise zoning designation? And that was where, and if I heard you correctly, Jerry, you said there's not. It's either this or nothing. And so while I'm certainly an advocate for having conversations and trying to see if there's ways of finding a common ground, my concern is that the UDO, the actual zoning designations, there isn't one available to us that would be that compromise position. That's my concern. And that was my inquiry, was, is there something else out there? Is there 6.2 or something? I don't know. That might be the one that would work, but apparently that does not exist. That would allow for the townhomes to be built, and so I think we're stuck, unfortunately, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Jerry, but if unfortunately it sounds like we're stuck with either it gets approved, which would allow for the 23, 24, 25 units, whatever it is, or it would not get approved. That's, as I'm hearing it, that's, I think, where we're at, and I don't know what any conversations would yield because of the lack of alternative zoning designation.
That's correct, and I will note that any change in request and zoning needs to be approved by the applicant or the property owner, and they're not present as well. And our code does, require that action be taken on this, as opposed to a deferral without the permission of the property owner or the applicant.
Okay, that being said, Council, are you ready to vote? Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes?
Nay.
We have 2 nays. Okay. The ayes have it. The bill has passed. Next, we will have resolution number 2025-12. It is a resolution to adopt the Community Development Block Grant budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026. What say you?
Motion approved.
And this is to be deferred. We will come back to that. And the amphitheater, let's see, we've done that one. So now we are at resolution number 2025-16, a resolution of the City Council approving downtown redevelopment grant for the fourth quarter, which is also to be in executive session. Reports to council is now where we come up, which will be in executive session. Now we are at our city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. As stated earlier, we'll have a wet down on May 21st at 2 p.m. at Fire Station 6 on Smith Drive. That is to celebrate and to bring into compliance our new fire apparatus. And again, we received those funds, $1.2 million in funding from the state with that fire apparatus. So we will be bringing that online. Again, May 21st, 2 p.m., Smith Drive. May 17th, we have a Michael Jackson and Prince tribute at Carolina Bank Field. We certainly excited to see all of council members out May 17th, Carolina Bank Field. We will be judging your moonwalks. Be asking for those tax returns. For business license. You can provide a P&L statement, even Excel spreadsheets on there, or some type of signed statement. But we will not, under our normal course of business, ask for tax returns as people come and renew or get business license. So just wanted to make sure that council understood that staff has followed direction from council, and we made those changes.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we will have the mayor's report. Councilman Braddock actually was, you two, Councilman Neesmith, all in my Kool-Aid. He was in my Kool-Aid as well, because I was going to talk about the cuts and how it affects us. There are several projects in the city that we really look forward to the monies that come from the city, from the state, and it was a disappointment to find out that the appropriation request won't be approved. And so I would hope that they would reconsider, because there are a lot of cities that are struggling. Aging infrastructure, crime is on the rise, and we need funds to address these issues. So I would pray. The city of Florence has requested $16 million. $16 million is a lot of money that we have lost now, because they have not granted this request that they would normally do. But I am so happy to serve with this council that we passed a budget, and we went on and absorbed the cost for the flock cameras, because we sense the urgency of this problem with crime. We've received several phone calls. I'm not the only one. All of council has received several phone calls about the crime, the shootings that have happened this weekend, and we are very serious about this, and we are proactive in it. However, the majority of this happened in the county. That doesn't make it any better, because the county citizens are also citizens of ours in some type of way, but we want them to be safe as well. However, we are working diligently to resolve this thing for him. So I just want to say to the community, let's please find better ways to resolve conflicts. Please, let's find a way to resolve. But then we didn't talk about, Brian, how this affects infrastructure. As you know, that we've got this problem with infrastructure, and we need those fundings. We need, we want quality water. We are turning over every stone, and I want to applaud this council, because what you all don't see is the work that goes on behind the scenes. When there is an issue, they are on the phones. Hey, let's get something done. But when we called and reached out to this staff, they turned over every stone. And I would suggest that we have fireside chats to inform our community of everything that we are doing. There is so much that has been done since August. This council has said we demand, hey, no more kicking the can down the road, and the can is no longer being kicked down the road. This staff is really doing a wonderful job in preparing us for our steps towards great quality water. And so I did want to say kudos to this council as well as to our staff. It is not where you want it to be. This problem is years in the making of fixing. But we want you to know that major steps have been taken that you don't see going on, and I did want to update you on that. As far as, that's it for my mayor's report. All right, next we will have committees reports, and it goes to our Business Development Committee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And the Business Development Committee met on May the 2nd. At that time, it was myself, Mayor Barnes, Councilman Braddock, along with Scotty Davis, Clint Moore, and Michael Hemingway. We received a update from David and Julie Tuttle, Project Urban Square.
Point of information on that? I would try.
Okay. There was a update on Project Urban Square from David Tuttle and Julie Tuttle. That the best news is, looking at the property across the street, there's equipment there. It looks like dirt has been moved, and of course then comes the monsoon rains. So looks like there's some activity that's taking place over there. They gave us a very detailed report. We also received an update from AECom on the sewer collection system master plan. And Madam Mayor, along the lines of what you just talked about, and what council has done through city staff's initiation, working with council, and I just have in front of us, we received the draft of the sewer collection system master plan. That's what was presented to us. It's going to be circulated to all of council. It'll be something, I believe, Mr. City Manager, that will be presented at a meeting where all council can look at this in depth, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct, Councilman. As you know, we've done several master plans.
I'm just getting ready to talk about that.
Yes, and we will be going over all of those with council at a work session.
So the other one, and just so that everybody in the community will understand, the water distribution master plan, we received that draft of that one earlier, and then prior to that, we also received the stormwater master plan. So these are major infrastructure, hundreds of millions of dollars in repairs and upgrades master plan that, it's been said, you got to plan your work to work your plan. So this is a monumental years undertaking by the city of Florence to get information, to put a master plan together for each of these, for the stormwater, for the water distribution, as well as for wastewater. And those are coming before us to look at. And to Madam Mayor's point, I know that Representative Lowe was working diligently, and Councilman Braddock, I know you're aware of this as well, to try and obtain state funding to assist us to implement some of these critical pieces of our infrastructure master plans that we had. And, it was very disappointing to me and to everyone else on council, as well as to our city manager and staff, that at the 11th hour, all of that funding was pulled, and we are left with a problem that is not getting any better. The cost of doing this work is doing nothing but increasing, and we're left short on trying to find funding to implement the critical pieces of this master plan. And I'm just echoing what Madam Mayor said earlier, as well as what Councilman Braddock said. And so those were what we discussed at that time. Also, what was at that time, Councilman Braddock, who I just want to say thank you so much for your service on the Business Development Committee for all these years. It's invaluable input that you've given, and we appreciate that. Councilman Braddock offered his resignation and recommended the nomination of our new councilman, Zach McKay. And so at this time, I would offer the name of Councilman McKay as a motion to fill the vacated spot by. Pardon?
Second.
So that's a motion before us for the nomination to fill the empty slot.
It has been moved in second for Councilman Zach McKay to be on the Business Committee. All those in favor signify by saying
I
aye.
got a question. I got one question.
There's a question.
Now, I'm not opposed to it. I do want him to serve on the committee, but I just want to make sure we're doing it the right way. Now, my understanding was, does it have to say action will be taken?
No, we're.
Yeah, I'm certain. Oh, that suffice with the appointment.
Yes, it can say that action can be taken.
Can, or does it have to?
No, it doesn't have to say action will be taken. If it's not an issue, then not an issue.
No.
Gotcha. No issue. No issue. Okay.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? The ayes have it. Next, we will have the Community Development Committee, and we did not meet on last month, and so I will not have anything to report this month. We will now move to the Finance Audit Budget Committee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. We met on April 30th, 2025. We did discuss the financial packet from February. I think, and Madam Mayor, you was also in that meeting as well. It was me, Councilman Smith, and Councilman Braddock as well. We met on April 30th. Went over the February financial packet, as well as we did already get the budget overview prior to our budget meeting on last Wednesday, and I guess adoption of the first reading today. And of course, we talked about the budget shortfalls, including the community's programs portion, where we're not certain we will be receiving any funds from the federal government pertaining to community block grant funds. So we did move some organizations around, and we was able to get an increase in our community programs budget, but again, it was way more in request than what was actually received, what we actually have in revenue. We went over the early purchases ordinance, which we've already presented today, as well as Councilman Braddock brought up his concerns pertaining to Act 176, which requires, as of now, the city the ability to ask for your tax returns. And that was pretty much it. We adjourned at 4:28, about an hour and a half meeting. And if I miss anything, that concludes our report from the Finance Committee meeting.
Okay, great. So now, council, I think it is time for us to go into executive session, where we will have discussion for the downtown redevelopment grant as outlined in resolution number 2025-15. Then for discussion regarding appointments to city boards and commissions. For discussion, the redevelopment of the properties located in the downtown central overlay district. All right,
So move.
all those in favor? We are now in executive session.